I am already sitting there kicking myself, wishing I had done the wealth sooner because I've already got clients waiting.
Welcome to the New Leaf podcast, where today I am joined by Matthew and Rebecca.
You know that you've got business for a lifetime with their family and everything else, and you can look after them.
Being able to take a client and not have to pass them off somewhere, it was like the number one thing.
I'm really looking forward to speaking to them about how they developed a multifaceted business and why they joined New Leaf from a competitor network. I really want to get under the bonnet there.
And we're almost being forced into being a business that we didn't want to be.
Talking to you, everything you said we could do, you'd put it in writing. Yeah, it was the trust factor and all the permission areas and the support and being able to grow our business.
Sit back and enjoy this episode. It's going to be awesome. Matt and Rebecca, welcome to the New Leaf podcast. It's really lovely to have you here in London today.
Thanks for having us.
How are you doing? How's the business going?
Really well.
Good, yeah, excellent at the moment.
You obviously joined us from another network. How long ago was that now?
Coming up 18 months.
Yeah. Can you tell us what the reason was that you thought I need to leave this network and join another network? Not necessarily ours, but why you wanted to leave that network?
So I suppose we had that kind of realisation when our permissions started to shrink quite considerably. So we're quite a specialist broker. We don't think of ourselves as a specialist broker, but if you were looking at it from the outside in, probably quite a specialist broker. So we did everything. We like to look after clients holistically, take them through the whole kind of journey, offer them whatever solution that they need. And we had a period of about 6 to 12 months, I suppose, with the previous network where first we lost commercial privileges, then we lost second charge privileges, then we lost a load of buy-to-let stuff, and then we lost expat. And it was just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And we're almost being forced into being a business that we didn't want to be.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it was that kind of realization of, well, we need to find a new home. Yeah. And we didn't really know what home that was going to be, if I'm totally honest. But we knew we couldn't really stay where we were. So it was not a blind panic, but it was constantly looking for things and talking about them. Yeah. And coming back and, talking about it at the dinner table and all that kind of thing as well. So,
yeah. We actually spoke to you at New Leaf first.
Okay.
And we thought you guys were amazing, but we had nothing to compare it to. So off I went with my spreadsheet and went to all the different networks.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you stood out by a mile. So.
Oh, that's really kind of you. And what was that in particular that made you make that decision to join New Leaf?
So, as you're probably aware, I spotted you at the Mortgage Expo in London, and I always think this is a great story.
Yeah, that's right.
I was wandering around on my own, going to these tech stores and like talking about apps and what have you, and there was like the odd person at each of the stands talking to people, and then out of the corner of my eye, in the corner, I saw 50 or 60 people. Yeah. At this one stand and all this noise coming from it. I think, what on earth is that over there? Yeah. So I thought, I better go and have a look. So I literally walked around the corner and I think I saw yourself and Dan with bottles of champagne.
I think it was Brad. I think it was me and Brad actually on that one. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, well, what on earth is this? And when it was a network, you thought, well, I don't think I've ever seen a network that would do something like this.
Yeah. It's bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, it made you stand out. And then when we talked to you, you did the spreadsheets, didn't you? And you kept on coming back.
It was a few things. One, it was having every single permission area. Matthew's really big into commercial, and we could grow that side of the business. That was a huge thing.
It's really exciting.
But also it's trust.
Yeah.
Talking to you, everything you said we could do, you'd put it in writing. After having so much taken away, it's quite nervous. You don't want to jump ship and end up somewhere. And it was the trust factor and all the permission areas and the support and being able to grow our business. We had a meeting with you guys and the thought of going into wealth, it was one of those back burner things, maybe in 10 years, but knowing that we would have that support to grow the business even further stood out.
And you were really strong. I remember meeting you and thinking, crikey, I'm a bit scared of this one. You really were interrogating, and you knew that you wanted to find the right home, no mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. And so you were really looking for wealth, and you were looking for the commercial side of the business, the specialist side of the business, the holistic.
It was
approach.
that, being able to take a client and not have to pass them off somewhere. We have that, like, almost, I say we, but it's very much, it's Rebecca and Alice in our office. They have that laser-like focus on clients and the journey of that client from the minute that they contact us through the advice process, through then, the back office and through to, and even after that. And we just had to be able to do that with a client. It was like the number one thing.
Yeah.
And whenever Rebecca would say, I've spoken to these people, and what about this and what about that? And she would see the look on my face. And I think, she had that moment of, there's no point me doing this anymore, is it? You've got your mindset. You know where you want to go.
Yeah. You made your mind up, didn't
you? Yeah.
I actually prefer that when I meet businesses like yourselves who are really looking, interrogating, because you're going to stay forever.
Yeah.
You've done the job. You're going to stay with us forever, which is wonderful.
Absolutely.
Just going back to that champagne, I used to drink in those days. It was wonderful. I don't drink it anymore. But we did drink a spurious amount of champagne that day, I believe, Matt. You stayed around for a while.
There was a long train journey back. So, it's, you have to make the trip to London worthwhile, don't you? So,
absolutely. We really do. So in terms of your husband and wife, partners in the business, how does that work on a day-to-day basis?
It has its challenges, being honest, ups and downs. We do have the thing that obviously once work's finished, sometimes you just have to shut the door and say enough's enough and back onto home life.
Yeah.
But with a business, it's all a learning curve. I think we started trying to do a bit of everything. And it probably wasn't until we started to define our roles on what are we most good at between us, where brilliant the mortgage advice and with clients, me, operations side, accounting, he hates, so that's on me.
Good
so
balance.
When we defined our roles, everything worked better, but it also worked better for the staff because they know who to approach for what they needed rather than it both being the bosses.
So
that ability to actually define, do what you're good at. Don't try to be a master of like everything. Yeah. So, if somebody wants to talk to me about accountancy or, process flows and, compliance and what have you, I glaze over really, really quickly. You want to talk to me about sales or where to place a case or how best to approach a client or the conversation to have with an introducer, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I come to life with that.
Yeah.
Rebecca, her attention to detail with stuff is just off the chart.
Yeah.
And, almost to the extent that you had to teach yourself that perfect doesn't always exist.
True.
And sometimes it's better just to do it and then adapt it than try and get it perfect.
Yeah.
But that delegation, but actually defining, right, I'm a director and I do this, and Rebecca's a director and she does these things. That's what makes it work for us.
What's the structure of your business now then? How's it working with multi-advisor, admin, what you two do? What's going on?
So we have 1, 2, 3 advisors now. That myself is 4. Rebecca's just getting reauthorised more as a journey into wealth. So
happy about
IFA qualifications at the moment as well. But each one of our advisors has specialisms, which we think works really, really well. So we have a dedicated protection insurance business protection advisor, and then we have 2 main mortgage advisors, Lucy, who's just getting up and running, Will, that's been with us pretty much ever since we opened, I think, 5 odd years or so. And he, loves contractors, loves self-employed people, limited company directors, really passionate about helping the self-employed and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I do the really, really complex stuff, which makes my, back of my hairs go up and gets me interested. So, really complex incomes, commercial development finance, bridging, second charges, all of that kind of thing. And then we have Alice in the business, who started as our apprentice, and at the ripe old age of
20,
she basically
runs
the whole thing.
Oh, that's amazing. You need to find one of those, don't you? The boss of the office,
Yes.
effectively.
So we're pretty happy with the structure we have at the moment. We're looking to grow. We're constantly recruiting, interviewing, all that kind of thing, trying to find the people that fit us best.
And how will Rebecca actually cope with the wealth side and running the business and the balance of the family?
Yeah, it's a tough one, but I've started with the will writing course, which was really good, and going to some of the network events, seeing how some of the other advisors started off doing the wills. And what they said is completely true. The amount of conversations that you have with people that you wouldn't have as a mortgage appointment. I am already sitting there kicking myself, wishing I had done the wealth sooner, because I've already got clients waiting. Everyone needs a will. When they're looking to purchase a property, it then just opens up this huge conversation. And then the wealth. I mean, I had to look at our stats, and over the last 5 years, we've done 1,000 mortgages just on Matthew alone. Our back book is huge of clients. So the wealth
success.
business is there. Managing family life, I think you just have to be strict with yourself and be flexible, especially as a working mum. I'm there at all the concerts, but that means I work in the evening. Yeah. Sometimes they're used to, sometimes Saturdays they'll come in and work. They're a part of the office. It is a family-run office. If I'm having to work from home, people know that the dogs are barking. It's just kind of being flexible.
Sort of this modern world.
It is.
Yeah.
People work from home nowadays.
She is like the queen of multitasking. It's just, you have to work out which hat she has on at that particular point. So there might be hats like being swapped quickly, but
you obviously love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You love it all.
Yeah.
Every aspect.
Yeah, and I love working with Rebecca as well.
Amazing.
So, and I love the support she gives me, and hopefully I give a little bit back the other way as well. But and she keeps me laser focused.
And that is the culture of New Leaf. It's family. That's really important to all of us, isn't it? That we bring on our family members, and we love what we do, and we're happy. Decide to be happy is what it's all about. There's a couple of things that you said that I'd like to go back to. The first one is the specialism route. A lot of ARs who build businesses, they're very generic and everybody does everything. You've chosen to build specialisms. Can you explain why and how you're doing that?
So I suppose when we opened, we didn't really have that specific focus on what we were going to do and what we were going to be as a business. And I think, that's fine. If people are opening up and they don't know what their business is going to be, I don't think there's an issue with that.
Very true.
But you do tend to find that specialism almost by happy coincidence, I suppose. We picked up a client like really early in the process after we opened in September 2019. And he came across to us by referral from pretty much our first mortgage that we wrote. And he had spoken to 5 brokers before he came to us. And he was convinced he couldn't buy a house.
Right.
Like, I cannot buy a house. He had a really complicated income structure for where he worked. So he was building a nuclear power station for Boiler, Hinckley, down in Bridgewater. And the way that their contracts were set up and the way that they were paid and, their additions to their salary, there were brokers that were just looking at this payslip and thinking, I just don't want to have anything to do with that. Yeah. Me being me, I look at the payslip and think, that looks interesting. I wonder who will do that. The little black book comes out of all of the contacts I've got over the years, and I start ringing underwriters and heads of.
It's not just about research tools, is it? At all?
No, it's about
that knowledge.
What you know earns you money, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we found a place to place this business, Brilliant. And I thought, well, that sets us apart from other brokers, doesn't it? That we could do something that somebody else or 5 other firms couldn't do. And that's kind of defined where we've gone as a business is, well, let's look for other stuff that people struggle with. So it became, locums and then optometrists and then, orthodontic specialists and then, people with strange income and then searching out lenders that would do it and support it and getting onto pilots and then it was, segueing from there into commercial because we kind of did a Google search of, are there commercial brokers in where we are? No.
They're all giving the business to packages and losing half the money and losing control of the clients. That's all. Most of the other networks.
So I think we're the only one in our city, and it's not really a city.
You keep control of the client.
Yeah.
You keep the money, which is really important. You've got to make money.
So, and as you know, if you try to be a master of everything, keeping that knowledge where it needs to be is practically impossible.
Got it.
But actually having a defined, this is what I want to do as an advisor.
Yeah.
And even moving away from protection and getting a protection expert, that's freed up our time to be better at what we want to do, the engine room of the business.
Yeah. How does the dynamics of that work, though? So sometimes people can fret over that in the sense that, how do we pay this person? If I refer it to them within the business as a RI of the business, an advisor, how do you pay them for that referral?
Okay.
So when the business is referred over, they get percentage of the sale,
Okay.
which is agreed. But where all she's doing is protection day in, day out. Her sales compared to what a mortgage advisor would do with just a bit of life business on. She looks at
Conversion.
everything, conversion. And obviously, we deal with a lot of business owners,
Yeah.
business protection. So again, it's that holistic. She looks at everything. So her sales are bigger than any of the mortgage advisors we had.
Yeah, so
Protection.
it's like the APE that goes in.
So
the
they're not
average premium is just
missing
enormous.
out.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. So if I was joining your business as a rookie, what would you do? How would you run me? How would you do it?
What we need to run you? You're pretty much...
No, so I was a rookie and I was 25 years old, 30 years old. I know it's a big wish, a big one. But how would you run that person? How would you decide what specialism they'd have and where would you direct them?
I think we've just had Lucy starting our business at the moment. So while she's going through the courses and everything else, she is learning effectively back office.
Okay.
So how to process cases. So she knows everything apart from effectively talking to the customer.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's her general interest, where it's going to be, her background. For instance, her background, she has an estate agency background and a recruitment background. So focusing on maybe the purchase, the sales, start with the simplest, then start seeing where her interests lie and actually what she's good at, what her conversions are, keeping an eye on the business.
It's that, one of the realizations we had when we were looking to grow the business. So originally we went after experienced people and people that worked for us in the past, quite low hanging fruit, convince them to come across. But the more experienced they are, the more challenges they have, because they can be quite set in their ways, right? And that they have their way of working and the things that they want to do. Whereas if you hire for attributes and not experience, so look for things that people need to be good in that role, and then look to nurture them and develop them. And, we've got, 50, 60 years worth of training, coaching, developing people to be mortgage advisors. Yeah. And it was, you had that moment of, well, why aren't we doing that in our business? Why are we going and why are we looking for people that have got 15 years experience in the back book?
Yeah, we've trained all these people. We've got some really successful advisors that we've both managed when we were both in corporate world, and it was as though we stopped as soon as we opened our own business, and we said, well, why aren't we doing it? Let's go back, let's start training again and giving back, impart some of that knowledge. And obviously if they start with us, they should stay with us.
Really knowing your people, it's so valuable. So where does this take you in the future? What are the goals and ambitions of the business? Is it going to be a massive business with lots of new people? How's it going to work?
That depends what day of the week you ask us.
Get it? Yeah.
So I think short term, at one point I think we had 13 advisors that worked for us, and we would like to get back to that kind of level, but 13 of the right advisors, I think is probably the best way of looking at it. Yeah. We've got the will and estate planning business that's open, Willwise, which Rebecca's doing really well with. We want to get into wealth. I think we have aspirations to potentially look at estate agency and lettings as well, because we know people in that arena.
Watch this space.
Yeah. We don't want to stay static, but one of the big mistakes that we made previously was being focused on turnover, like obsessed with turnover. What turnover can we get this to?
Yeah.
And our kind of switch that we flicked was being more obsessed with profit, being more obsessed with, what does the business look like as a whole? What are we getting out of, how are we servicing these clients, and not being just defined by what we turn over.
Yeah, I think we heard that from Ying Tan on the Mastermind Alliance on Monday, didn't we? Profit, know your numbers, know your transactions, your ratios, and you've obviously been doing that for years. Yeah, and just going back to the will writing. So, how are you doing the will writing? Is that through New Leaf? Is that through New
It
Leaf?
is through New Leaf.
Oh, good, because you can do will writing through any means. But we do have quite a lot of people in New Leaf who do it for our New Leaf Will Writers Federation. How does that actually work in brief?
Went on one of your courses, and it had one of your advisors, Shane, who stood up and told us his story about how he got started into wealth, and he was saying about wills. And you had recently emailed out that you were starting a will writing course. So I think I was the first one to go on then, I'll do that.
You were, yeah.
So went along, I think it's online now, but at the time it was for 4 days, where you learnt all the background about wills, the regulation, and then the computer system and how to do it. And then it was coming back into the business and finding where to put that into our sales process and speaking to as many people as possible. And it's really interesting, the conversations we're now having. One of our biggest buy-to-let landlords has been given the wrong advice on wills.
Wow.
And so
Costly.
Very costly, went to a solicitor, everything else. But it's that having that communication and keep talking to your clients.
Yeah.
So the wills process is really simple. So anyone who is looking to do it, definitely get on board. The
Fantastic.
chats that you have with people, they open up about their families. And again, from a business point of perspective, when you're talking to someone about their family and what they want to happen, if the worst to happen, you talk about their children and money and everything else, you know that you've got business for a lifetime with their family and everything else, and you can look after them.
Yeah.
So it's just a different aspect that.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
You tend to find that people are quite guarded when you talk to them about mortgage. So they almost only want to give you the information that they think is relevant to the transaction that you're doing, as much as you probe and all that kind of thing. What I've kind of noticed when I hear the will conversations is people just
very
tell
open,
you
very
everything because they, they want it protected correctly.
That's great.
And that is obviously leading into the wealth.
Yeah.
really well.
The next bit of it, which is, that's a great feeding ground for
Yeah.
the wealth business, which is
Glad to hear you've
predominantly what we
really
do.
embraced it all and all of the areas. So this podcast, the New Leaf podcast, is all about turning over a new leaf in financial advice. And I can't help but noticing that you have been transformed. And you told me as you came in, you've lost 10 stone in weight. How has that happened and why did you do it? And it's brilliant, but tell us how you've done it. There might be other people in the same situation.
So I'm 48 now. We've got 8-year-old twins. They're quite a handful. We had lots of things which we had planned to do with them later on this year, next year, etc. And I'd kind of let myself get to a kind of weight that a lot of them I wouldn't have been able to do. Like weight limits on Siam Park that we want to go to, the water park, and other things that we want to do. Won't mention one of them because in case the kids watch it, they don't know about it yet. Okay. But yeah, it was kind of that realization of, well, if I don't do something about it now, when am I going to do it? And there were, getting up in the morning and you've got a different ache. My back hurts, my knee hurts, my ankle hurts. And where I used to play rugby, I already had, some issues in terms of what they told me I could do in terms of exercise.
Yeah.
And I just decided, I want to be better for the kids, for my wife, for my
brilliant.
clients, for the business. And I'm very good if I make a decision to do something, that I can do it and just regiment with it.
You look amazing. You both look amazing. And that transformation is just everywhere in your business, in your lives. And we're really thankful that you're with New Leaf as we witness the transformation for many years to come. Thank you for being with us today.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.